Hi, my name is Liz Hathway and this is my astrological take on the coming week, and that is the week starting March the 25th. So there are some major shifts this week. Venus and Mars, for example, will both change sign. Mars moves from fixed Taurus, where he's been plodding, digging his heels in, quite stubbornly holding his course. And it's interesting that the UK has in its birth chart Mars in Taurus. We see on Sunday, that's Sunday the 31st, that Mars changes sign. Mars moves into Gemini. And Gemini is movable. It's kind of much freer, it's much looser, it's much more free associating, it's much more opportunistic, it's much less fixed. It's not in or holding a particular ground. It's kind of open to ideas to get behind, to galvanize its energy behind. So simply on this one small shift, we could imagine that in the UK this week there's going to be a change in the debate, change in the approach, change in how politicians put their energy together. There's going to be it's going to be much less rigid. And another very important planet this week that is changing sign is Venus. So we have these two relationship planets, Venus and Mars, changing sign. And Venus moves into Pisces on the 26th, which is also a mutable sign. So we have these Mars and Venus, both in mutable signs. Venus is UK ascendant ruler. It's a very important planet, therefore, for the UK. And it too is moving from fixed Aquarius, where with the fixed sign, there is that dogged determination, there is that dig the heels in kind of quality. I mean, fixed, it says something, the word already, about the quality of the energy. When we move into the mutable signs, when Venus moves into Pisces on Tuesday, we start to see this shift, a shift in the way we approach things. Venus is very much looking for relationship, and the way we go about that now will be more coloured by Pisces, which is maybe slightly ambiguous, not completely committed, shall we say, but certainly Pisces is very friendly, it's very sensitive, it feels the current. But the thing is, with Pisces, there is that dualistic nature. And, a fish, it needs to find the right current to swim in. It needs to find its flow. It needs to find its tribe. It needs to find its people, which is a bit the North Node in Cancer has got that edge to it as well at the moment, I find. Where do we belong? Where should we be going? Which direction should we be choosing? So we have this shift towards mutable this week, while the Sun, of course, is now in Aries, which is confident, which is determined to strike a course, to go in a direction. So these are important shifts. But at the same time, of course, anything moving into a mutable sign at the moment cannot avoid Neptune, which is in Pisces, and it can't avoid Jupiter, which is in Sagittarius. So anything in Pisces is going to be running into the conjunction with Neptune and into that square with Jupiter. And we've watched that play out in the last weeks, of course, with the journey that Mercury made. Mercury came into Pisces. It had to, conjunct Neptune. It had to sextile Saturn. It has to square Jupiter. Then it went retrograde and it had to run through the whole lot again. And I thought the last weekend, for example, which was the final of the three, well, no, actually there's still one to come. So it was the second of the three Mercury-Neptune conjunctions. What we saw there, of course, on Saturday, we had that massive demonstration in London. On Sunday in Norway, where there was the cruise ship that was suddenly completely off course and, sort of drifting all over the place. This is very much Mercury-Neptune, Mercury conjunct Neptune, with that square from Jupiter in the background. So waves become bigger, crowds become larger, enthusiasm, certainly lots of it. I mean, I've actually found myself, you know, certainly with the Mercury and Pisces transit, which, you know, certainly with Neptune, with Jupiter in the picture, thankfully there is that sextile with Saturn, which says, let's make it real, let's bring it down to earth. But there's certainly almost an information overload. And I've actually found myself longing for some Virgo, you know, some discernment, some capability to really, you know, separate the, you know, the details, to really appoint the appropriate value to things, to, you know, separate the wheat from the corn, and to really, I'm thinking in Dutch again, kaft en koren, and trying to translate it as I'm thinking it. But I think you get my gist, that ability to really look at the fine details and make the right choices is very important when we've got such a lot of information overload going on. So yeah, this week is a big week. We have, first off, Venus, of course, sextiles Uranus on Wednesday, which is quite bright, which is, you know, one of the first aspects now Uranus will have made, since it's in Taurus and it's in Venus's sign. So, you know, there's a certain ease and flow here, and always opportunities to meet new people, opportunities also to earn some money if we want to. And then on Thursday we have Mercury going direct, and also Pluto conjunct the South Node. You know, Pluto at the moment is quite, you know, it's not making any major aspects at the moment, apart from its aspect to the node. Saturn isn't there yet. That'll be the main aspect next year. But, you know, these nodal contacts, certainly around the South Node, I think it is very much about letting go of old patterns, letting go of old ways of doing things, and trying to overcome fear as well. Fear that is holding back, fear that's stopping growth, fear that's hindering, you know, you on your growth and on your path. And as I say, we come into the weekend, we get that shift as Mars moves into Gemini. So, you know, the rulership, the Sun in Aries is Mars ruled at the moment. It frees up the Sun as well, you know, because they're both now in these sort of positive, you know, fire and air. You know, there's movement now. Things are getting heated up. The air is able to move, and debate can sort of expand and can become more heated on the one side, but at least there's movement in there. And I think certainly if I'm, as a Brit, thinking about Brexit, I think that idea of some shift in standpoints, some shift in the nature of the debate, something that is more air, let's get more people into it. I think this has to be a very good thing. Wishing you a great week. Thank you for listening. Bye.